rainy night in Louisville, Kentucky, we welcome you to the USL Championship playoffs presented by Hisense. Tonight, the Eastern Conference semifinal, and this match presented by Toyota. Let's go places. The 8-seed Detroit City away to face 5-seed Louisville City. With Ricky Lopez, Aspen, Mike Watts on hand, the Eastern Conference playoff bracket is presented by PowerNet. Upsets galore. Charleston already ahead in their game, which began half an hour ago against Birmingham. Louisville could host the Legion. Charleston would host either side on this side of the bracket. Detroit would have to go to whomever should they advance past Louisville. Ricky, pretty remarkable what this Detroit side did last game, upsetting Pittsburgh, arguably statistically biggest upset in league history.
And we talked to Trevor James, and two things stood out was managing moments and box defendings, and he also wanted players to get higher up the field. And a result of that, Gasso has a terrific strike, gets himself higher up the field, head down, laces through the ball. There's nothing that Jamali Wade can do, but I do think for Trevor James, Maxi Rodriguez needs to be very good tonight on the road. He does so well on both sides of the ball. Defensively, likes to clog passing lanes, good in the challenge, while on the attacking side of the ball, he can beat you 1v1. He can beat you through combination play, and he needs to be very confident here for Detroit City on the road at Lynn Family Stadium.
All right, conversely for Louisville City, it's been the talk of the town all season. They haven't won as many games, they haven't scored as many goals, yet here they are for a 9th straight year.
And Danny Cruz was quick to mention to us, he said, look, we're better than people give us credit to. Yes, it doesn't start on the road, but the ability to grind out results when you're not playing your best. Cameron Lancaster, you see how clinical he is. He's going to be an X factor. It goes to the kick from the mark, but big-time players, big-time teams find a way to win, and Lou City did just that on the road.
Aiden McFadden glances it off the post, and that's it. Louisville City in pens past 4-seed Memphis. And let's take a look at tonight's player profile. Presented by Commonwealth Credit Union, it's the aforementioned Cam.
2 goals in 2 games, so he gets a nod up top for Danny Cruz, and you want him to stay high. You want him to occupy the 2 center backs to make those runs into the channel, to spread out the center back. But how clinical can he be? And what does the service look like into Cameron Lancaster here tonight? Because when he's confident and he's clinical, he's going to be an X factor for the city.
All right, here we go. Late October, where rubber meets the road. The fans are here from both sides, as you'd anticipate. Trick or treat. That's more trick than treat. This game should be quite the opposite. We're Lynn Family Stadium for the Eastern Conference semifinal, and it's coming up next.
Commonwealth Credit Union's holiday celebration is back. This holiday season, you can earn not 1, not 2, but 3 points on all you see. Non-purchase entries are available and have an equal chance of winning. But hurry, this celebration ends December 31st. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
This is the all-new Grand Highlander.
Toyota took the best-selling Highlander and made it bigger, more powerful, and more fuel efficient.
With your choice of 3 different powertrains, including the 362-horsepower Hybrid Max.
The interior design is so tech-focused, I'm in total control.
And you've got to love the 12.3-inch touchscreen.
The big news is right back here, with over 20 cubic feet of cargo space.
Behind a full-size 3rd row.
Step up to something grand.
Toyota, let's go places.
Here comes Morris into the 18. Morris the shot, finds the back of the net. City takes a 1-0 lead.
The 7th time was the charm. Detroit City finally clears the Louisvillian hurdle in July. Steinwasser a clean sheet, and Detroit earned a season split. Now the 3rd knockout game in 8 years.
Detroit City FC with a dominant 2-0 win over Louisville City FC here at Keyworth.
And that sets the tone for tonight. The starting lineups are presented by Breeze Airways. Nice, new, and nonstop. That's the Breeze way. Trevor James, same 11, same 18.
And it starts in that back line. How compact can they be? But when you go higher up the field for Detroit City, second balls are going to become that much more important. So you have Rodriguez and Joe playing underneath Morris. Reese Williams, Connor Russ, they're going to give you the width, and they're going to join the attack as they see fit. But for Trevor James, I do think how compact from front to back can you be in the first 10 to 15 minutes here on the road?
Conversely, for Louisville City, Jorge Gonzalez, who was excellent in the April meeting between these teams, replaces Tellefson, only change.
As you look at the fluidity on the front line, Brian Noman, we know what he's about, the ability to be vertical, but it all comes down to that middle three. Del Piccolo, Gibson, and Mogu Jr. Gibson's going to sit right in front of that back four, so you're going to see Mogu Jr. and Del Piccolo go in between lines. Sharpie, not in left back, but he's going to play on the left side. Adams, Tosh, and Perez need to be very disciplined when they join the attack and also stay compact and keep everything in front of you.
Sean Tosh, his 28th career playoff game, ready to lead this Louisville City side on the night against this Detroit City team whose DNA is winning. Connor Ruts and Detroit away to Louisville City. The Eastern Conference semifinal from Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville. City against City, Louisville against Detroit. Well, the tale of these two cities has actually been pretty similar this year. Both sides dissatisfied with their overarching attacking play over the course of this season. And yet, there are only 4 teams remaining in the East, and here are 2 of them.
And again, Mike, you look at the records throughout the regular season for Detroit. Only scored 31 goals, but only let in 39. For Lou City, 42 and 45. So I do think you can get a clean sheet, gives you a really nice opportunity managing moments first 10 to 15 minutes, and who's going to impose their identity on the opposition.
Sharpie runs this out, his second consecutive start at left back for Louisville, who have not won a game in their last 4. Danny Cruz frustrated that the 2 previous games, Tampa Bay and Memphis, they conceded in the first minute. We can now say that's not the case tonight. Dropped off by Ownby, through by Lancaster, and well handled by Matty Lewis. Lewis whiffed, but Carroll, as if it was all pre-planned. Let's take a look at tonight's weather report, brought to you by Advanced ENT and Allergy. 62 degrees at kickoff. There was heavy rain about an hour ago. That's drained rather well. The reality is there should be rain throughout the evening intermittently. You and I were chatting pregame, Ricky. Former forward, MLS Championship, League One. You said, rain I can deal with. It's
the wind that you do not want to play in. But as a striker, as a back line, as a center back, always that secondary action to follow up to any shot on target. The ball's going to move quick. It's going to be rapid. So your first touch becomes that much more important for every single player on the field here tonight.
Sharpie rose up, places this out to touch in front of Trevor James. The 4th-year manager set to become the sporting director at the end of this season. And what a job he's done with this team, helping to usher them into this new era in the championship from previously the NPSL, the earliest days, and NISA thereafter. Ben Morris, all poked away by Gibson. Chipped ahead. Gibson leading Ownby. Ownby slices the cross. Up and away by Amu Mensah with Lancaster waiting off the head of Gasso. Ownby sends, Lancaster turns. He's overtaken. That's a clean challenge in the penalty area. And out to Tosh.
It's a really good start here for Lou City, but what does it come out the result? Winning those second balls. That's something that Danny Cruz was quick to mention, a key for him to be successful here tonight. Tyler Gibson and Mogu Jr. have a very good feel of when Morris pops in the hole. Maxi Rodriguez is going to go higher. Winning that midfield battle is going to be key for either side.
Rodriguez wears the 21 in white tonight. One of the most exciting players in the Eastern Conference. Mogel came off of Ruts. Ruts begins the run out for Detroit. Gasso in reverse, rolled over by Lewis. Steinwasser. Gonzalez. Gibson turned down the wide run from Perez and now plays on. Perez successfully held off by Reese Williams. Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com. How about the praise for Devin Amumensa from Trevor James? We spoke to him this week. His toe spins.
Just so good on both sides of the ball. He just gives you a different look going forward, but also very good 1v1 defending. Understanding the rotations, where to be and stay connected with that back four. It's going to be a big challenge because you start to see for Lou City a lot of overloads on that far side.
Amumensa stepping through Gonzalez. Perez. Gonzalez was thrust away. Eventually, Jope did the job. There's Amumensa, 27-year-old from Naperville, Illinois. They first got a look at him with the Michigan Stars in Nisa. Said he gave us no joy in our meetings, which is usually how opponents come to pick off some of the opposition's best players. Carroll got the last touch, and a 5-5 corner kick for Louisville City. Both coaches harped on set pieces, as one would expect in a game that on its face doesn't have a lot of goals in it. Mogel, 4 assists this year, all since the start of September. Ricardo Fierro gives the go-ahead now. Mogel over Ombi. Bryant went flailing to the ground. No one touched it. And whistle did go.
As Mogel stands over this, you always expect quality service. Hands on the back, pulling down Bryant. Clear save there from Brian Ombi. Good call from our center referee.
Just don't expect that from two guys with such notable facial hair. To do that to one another. The Ombi beard, the Bryant stash. They'll be going at each other all night. Bryant. Steinwasser. Mogel. Williams overtaken for the ball. Gonzalez continues the forward pillaging run. Lancaster, ball ricochets to Perez. He was offside. Speaking of stashes, Perez has been busy, huh? Or maybe not so busy.
He's giving Michael Bryant a run for his money. Like that thing. He can pull it off, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
The confidence it takes. I can't do it. You can do it.
No. Too light.
We talk about the overloads. He has such a good feel of when to go. Manny Perez enjoying the attack as we take a look at Michael Bryant's mustache there.
Perez has work to do. He's not there yet. See in the concourse how many fans are still in there. Such the nature tonight of what has just been brutal rainfall. Mensa smashes away. Carroll. Gibson. Taken on by Del Piccolo. In such a transient league, Del Piccolo and Carroll, constants with the captain's armbands for these two clubs. Sharpie, taken on by Lewis. Better safe than sorry, I suppose, for Adams.
I think you're going to see a lot of this hard running there from Ben Morris. He's spearheading the attack for Detroit City, and that's something that Danny Cruz mentioned to us on our phone call. He likes to run the channels. He likes to pull out center backs. So what does his secondary action look like for players underneath him?
Bryant. Down to Ownby. Williams. So much pressure on Carroll. Here's Adams. Was acquired from San Diego in what was his contract for a loan of Enoch Mushagalusa. Mushagalusa injured, ultimately came back to Louisville, unavailable tonight. Adams, of course, watching yesterday, or rather last week, as his San Diego side left the field for the last time, regrettably. Throw here for Louisville. Last night, Sacramento knocked off San Antonio. We will have a new champ this year. Gonzalez. Sharpie on his horse. Booted away from Del Piccolo. That's a throw, not a corner. Ownby.
Had a very difficult time, Blue City, just trying to get into rhythm, trying to find Cameron Lancaster, Brian Ownby, Jorge Gonzalez in those half pockets. You need to move the ball extremely quick if you want to spread apart, break down this defensive structure, which is Detroit City. Have no problems getting 11 players behind the ball, sitting into a mid to low block. To break that down, movement needs to be very good, pulling players out of position. Sometimes you need to make those selfless runs if you're on the front line, but also decisiveness needs to be a bit better here for Lou City.
Adams. His 13th start since coming over from Loyal. Mogel. Perez. Mogel. Gibson. Those two so often competing for playing time this year. Two straight playoff games where this midfield has seen Del Piccolo and that pairing together. When we spoke to Danny Cruz, was it to get a little experience? That Del Piccolo, Ownby, Lancaster said, no, it's about size. And I imagine it's much the same against Detroit as it was against Memphis. Good from Del Piccolo. There goes Ownby. Levied off through now. Ownby! Ownby! Penalty! Louisville City will go to the spot with a chance to grab the lead inside a quarter hour. A yellow card to Carroll. That's insult to injury.
and it just comes off of winning second balls, and then you get Brian Ownby in behind this back line. It's a brilliant first touch to elude Kale, and it sees Michael Bryant that comes in with the left foot. We'll take a look here. Brian Ownby gets it right before. There is a little bit of contact, but you have to give credit to Brian Ownby. He makes the most of it. He goes down, and he forces the issue of Ricardo Fierro. He points to the spot. And what a brilliant opportunity this is for Lou City. 15 minutes in to go up 1-0 here. We talk about the keys to this match, winning that second ball battle because Detroit City, they get expansive. Brian Ownby has a very good feel of playing between the lines, and he's just so quick, and he draws a foul as we see Michael Bryant get a yellow card.
World of Beer yellow card to Bryant. Steinwasser, non-penalty shootouts in his pro career, has saved 1 of 13. Lancaster has scored 14 of 15. Lancaster delivers! Louisville City grabbed the lead in pursuit of their 9th consecutive conference final. And it is his 8th postseason goal, tied most among active players in the championship.
The willingness from Brian Ownby to get in beyond, and he's just quicker than Zach Carroll here. Take a look, there's maybe not a lot of contact, but if you're Michael Bryant, you have to be so sure when you lunge in with that left foot. Brian Ownby makes the most of it. Cool as you would like from Cameron Lancaster. The body position to keep his hips open to the last second to send Steinwasser the wrong way. The man's confident. We highlighted him in the open. 3 games on the trot. Lou City have their lead here at home.
5 goals in his first 21 games this year, now 3-3. And Lou City lead Detroit after 15 minutes. Lancaster scored an equalizer in the 18th minute off a set piece last week against Memphis. And he scored in the dying minutes against Tampa Bay in the regular season finale. Perez getting jiggy with it. And they seek him down the line. That's a foul, and the frustration bubbling from Carroll.
But it's just so clever going back to that pen from Brian Ownby because he drags his left foot. He understands Bryant goes down a bit early. He creates the contact. It's the off-ball movement, the cleverness, and the experience that we were just talking about, Mike. Now, how do you manage this moment for Detroit City? Hostile environment on the road. First 20 minutes, you're down a goal. Trevor James is going to want his boys to stay more compact and get on the ball just a tiny bit more because it's been all one-way traffic here for Lou City.
And what's really intriguing and positive for Detroit, Louisville have scored first on 12 previous occasions at home this year and only won the game 7 times. Sprung across Ownby 19 times home and road combined, and they've only won 12 of those. The many points of frustration that's existed over the course of this year among the Lou City supporters. Away by Sharpie. Fans, when Lou City wins, you win. This season, Lou City has partnered with Wendy's. Give you a free small Frosty if the boys in purple win. No purchase necessary. The offer valid the following day after a win. Head to any participating Louisville area Wendy's location to redeem. It's a foul seeded by Perez on Reese Williams, who was fouled 4 times last week, most of any player on the field against Pittsburgh. You feel those for a few days, right? When you're the most fouled player. Ownby gallops. Ruts behind him. Careens over the line.
I do think for Detroit City, the balance in that middle three needs to be just a tiny bit better. Gasso, Rutz, and Michael Bryan all closing down the space here for Brian Nomby. You only want one player because if Lancaster pops off that back line, he has so much real estate to operate in. So how compact can you be between your two center backs and your midfield three for Trevor James? You need to tighten that thing up in the center of the park.
Zemla, a rookie who's blown away expectations all season out of Marshall. Not overcooked, finds Steinwasser. Louisville in this league quarterfinal, conference semifinal round 9 times in 9 years. Ownby, Lewis. Lancaster away from Bryant. Picks his head up, sends the service for the backside.
Really good defending there from Amu Mensah. We'll talk about the fluidity on the front line for Louisville City as Lancaster peels out. You need someone to occupy that spot centrally. It's going to be Jorge Gonzalez on the back post. Even better defending and positioning in the left back.
Ball out from Bryant, 5-5 corner. Detroit this year, by the way, conceded the opening goal in all 15 of their losses. They gave up the opening goal 17 times. They won once and drew once. Mogel in front of the Koala. Mogel, ball tapped over. Gonzalez turning Sharpie. Del Piccolo. Got the end line by Gasso, sends the service. Job got up, and now a push from Mogel. How about this stat? Detroit has conceded 8 penalties this year, regular season, postseason. Only Las Vegas and Miami have conceded more, 9 each. That's got to drive Trevor James just a little crazy. His potential final game as the head coach before being promoted into the sporting director role in the front office next year. Talked a bit about the ability to work with the men's team, the women's team, the academy, oversee the building and continuation of a winning culture in Detroit, support the new head coach. Interviews ongoing and search continues for that. Ownby, Lancaster, covered by Job. Trevor James says he won't be playing golf 3 times a week, that's for sure. Good run here for Detroit. Williams pumps the brakes. Amu Mensah into the attacking half.
It's a good decision there from Reese Williams. Picks up his head. No option on the front line as we see Job on the field.
And that's not good news. Smashing the ground. And regrettably for Detroit, they had winless skids this year of 7 and 6 games. It's when they're injured that they struggle to pick up results. When they've had players, it hasn't really been a problem. Finding a way. That looks like a cleat right into the ankle from Del Piccolo.
Yeah, I think he gets away with one here. Del Piccolo. Touches the right foot of Job there. So now it's going to be very interesting for Detroit City if they dip into their bench. Who steps up centrally from a numerous of options. Dario Suarez, Richard Ballard, Papa Matthews on that front line and maybe drop off Connor Rutz. Does so much of the dirty work on the defensive side of the ball. Box to box midfielder Job is. Hopefully he's okay to keep on going. Massive part of that middle three.
Job back up. You know, we talk about depth or lack thereof. If you think about this Detroit team coming into the postseason, only 12 players on their roster had ever featured in a championship playoff game. Now there's the Open Cup and NISA tournaments. There's a lot of knockout experience, but maybe not in this particular tournament. For Louisville, it's nearly double the number of players and about 10 times the number of games.
Such an interesting stat. You look at Trevor James, and that's when his experience comes in, right? The message to the players, how to manage moments, how do you come into this hostile environment? And for Danny Cruz, maybe not the same experience as a head coach, but has the players that have the experience, right? So it's a give and take from both of these different dynamics for both of the clubs. Such an interesting stat that is.
Bryant.
That's a good ball.
Amu Mensah really inverted. Jope is back on the field. That's good news for Detroit. Tosh, most playoff games of anyone on the field tonight, is 28th appearance in the championship playoffs, seeking his 4th title. Won it in Rochester in 15, and then the back-to-back titles in Louisville in 17 and 18. What do you want to see different from Detroit, if anything? Ultimately, you're playing a 90-minute game, and that has to come into the mental thought process as well.
I think defensively, the center of the park, like I keep mentioning, whether it's Scassa, whether it's Rodriguez or Jope, you want someone to be that single pivot, to sit right in front of that back four, because that's where Lou City is just so good. Whether it's Jorge Gonzalez, whether it's Brian Omby, they come centrally underneath Cameron Lancaster and play as a true number 10. So how do you negate that pocket of space and win that territorial battle? But on the ball, just connect passes. Haven't really had that in terms of possession, and that's something that Trevor James mentioned to us, Mike, on our phone call. We want players higher up the field and getting on the ball in more of our final third. We haven't seen that 27 minutes in.
Well, when you think about Louisville against Memphis, arguably the best midfield playmaker in the league is Aaron Malloy, and he barely touched the ball, at least in threatening positions throughout the game.
And again, that's Maxi Rodriguez. That's when you start to find solutions as a player, right? Whether it's high or whether it's popping off. But if you're Danny Cruz, you can live with Maxi Rodriguez sitting in their defensive half and trying to pick apart this game. But if you're Trevor James, you want him higher underneath Ben Morris. We haven't seen Ben Morris. We haven't seen Connor Rutz. And there's no coincidence that we haven't seen a lot of attacking presence from the visitors here.
Amu Mensah, Williams got something on that. Jope went down. Gibson took it on. Del Piccolo. Perez. You wonder if this is being the second time that Jope's gone down, cause for greater concern now than it was then. He did take a tough tumble. And what goes through the former Ipswich Town legend's mind now? Abdoulaye Jope, acquired from Atlanta last season. 55th game for Detroit in USL competitions. Came from Senegal to play at Montverde Academy in Florida. Then ended up at Eastern Florida State College for a year. It's where Atlanta got a good look at him. Ultimately brought him in for a 2-season spell. Well, let's try and give you a better idea of Jope's night to this point. Here's the first knock from Del Piccolo about 5 minutes ago.
I'll tell you what, it's a foul. Del Piccolo comes in, studs are exposed, and catches the right foot of Jope there. You see what it means. It goes down. It's not an easy challenge to be had. And the second back onto it. That save right foot falls down a bit awkwardly. Something you don't want if you're Trevor James and Detroit City. Your engine in that midfield. Going down 30 minutes in. Hopefully he's okay to keep on going because he's going to be so important for the Detroit City and negating transition moments and winning that real estate in that midfield battle.
And the athletic trainer starting to get in some steps here tonight. Sharpie, second time he's put his heels to work. Clips that ahead, Omby across, none of it counted, it's offside. Louisville, half an hour in, grabbed the lead from Cameron Lancaster at the spot. A penalty converted in the 15th minute. This part of a quote-unquote doubleheader for Louisville fans. What a win for the Cardinals against Duke on the gridiron earlier today, 23-0. Speaking of scoring a lot of points, Cameron Lancaster, Brian Omby, along with playoff Patino, the three active leading scorers in the championship playoffs. Patino, of course, the finishing touch on Louisville last year for San Antonio en route to their first star. Lancaster scored a game winner back in 2017 in the championship final.
It's a pocket of space that I'm talking about. Look at Paolo Del Pico right by our center referee. Off of the shoulder of Gasso. If you can find him, the game's gonna unlock for Lou City. And that's exactly, if you're Trevor James, how do you negate that spot of space? Gasso needs to stay more compact and more connected with that back forward.
Gasso, of course, just his first goal of any kind at the pro level last week, and that's the kind of goal that you carry with you for a long time. He's on a 4.5-year deal with Detroit. They've got a lot of anticipation for his future. Amu Mensah. I'd say we've all been there, but then they wouldn't let me anywhere near the field, so I imagine you've been here, though.
Hundreds of times. Just take your eye off the ball, your right foot, your plant foot nicks it, just changes the ankle, you swing for the fences. He's been good defensively on Mensah, 32 minutes in. But you want him to get more involved, watch out.
Quite the battle with Gonzalez. Gibson, head swiveling. Morris tried to cut off the passing lane. Tosh. Ushered through by Del Piccolo. Gonzalez, Omby! Omby again! Levied off and cleared. That's short-lived. Sharpie. Going right back over top of Amu Mensah, but Steinwasser calls everybody off.
It's all about the spacing for Del Piccolo once again. Top of your screen, he plays in the pocket, and that pulls out Carroll. And as he does that, there's a big gaping hole, but watch the movement of Cameron Lancaster. As he makes that near post run, he pulls out Michael Bryant. Brian Nomby is gonna want that one back. It's a little bit hit too hard from Jorge Gonzalez, but the quality of that Brian Nomby, he should be hitting that first time on target. Good passage of play from Lou City.
Charleston and Birmingham have just started the second half of their game in South Carolina. Charleston lead that game 1-0. And Charleston would host either of these teams in the conference final. Beg your pardon, Birmingham got a goal in before halftime. Prosper Kasim has scored in back-to-back games. Detroit would have to go to Birmingham. Louisville would host the Legion. We'll have highlights of that game. Let's look back at last night's Sacramento-San Antonio game at halftime. We'll look ahead to what Ricky and I are doing later tonight, watching Orange County and Phoenix renew their rivalry.
That's going to be a fantastic match.
Lancaster came deep to get a couple touches on the ball. This a tad too far. Steinwasser takes it on. Seeking Rutz. Omby. Lancaster. Mogel. Omby. Simple for Lewis. Well, question is answered. You have to think Trevor James had little desire to bring Jope off in this first half, but he's gone down for a third time. And Detroit is going to use their first sub in the 36th into the 37th minute. That's Yazid Matthews, who will appear for the 21st time this year, his 13th time off the bench.
See the frustration when Yope's body language. Just that challenge from Del Pico catches him. It's like very difficult to recover from there. So now if you're Trevor James, it's going to change tactically how you match up Matthews. He's going to pop onto that front line, so who drops a bit deeper? You have to think it's going to be Connor Rutz. He's going to play in a more advanced position. In your middle three will be Gasso, Rodriguez, Rutz. Morris might peel out to the right-hand side, and Matthews going to spearhead the attack here for the visitors.
Substitution is brought to you by Fortna. And just a devastating amount of emotion from the 24-year-old. You go into these games with so much expectation. Jope went straight up the stairs and into the locker room now that his night is over. Del Piccolo. Up from Gonzalez. Header is right into the path of Ownby. Ownby trying to get around Steinwasser, put him on the ground. Ownby high. That was nearly catastrophic for Detroit, and they held him at bay just long enough.
Uncharacteristic like from Detroit City as one player challenges for the ball. Carroll. You see the confusion between Lewis and Amu-Mensah. Someone needs to provide that coverage underneath, but if you're Brian Ownby, you need to be a bit more decisive, trying to overcomplicate things. Look at Mogel, just roll into the path. He has a better body position, the better angle. Information on the pass, just roll into his path. Try to overcomplicate it. Try to pick out that top corner with their least preferred left foot. Big opportunity that goes begging for Lou City to double their lead here.
Ownby and Bryant got entangled. Ownby, veteran of playoff games in Richmond, here in Louisville, of course.
And those are the ones, Mike, that if you're a striker, you just have too much time to think. You try to overcomplicate things. You need to be a bit more instinctual and just trust your instincts. If you're Brian Ownby, 3 goals, 4 assists on the season, a player of that quality should be hitting the back of the net.
Matthews, that ricochet is down. Kell sends it back toward Carroll. Detroit coming off a 26-point upset over Pittsburgh. The largest statistical upset in the history of the championship playoffs. Gasso in the final 10 minutes, silencing a record crowd for the Hounds alongside the Monongahela. Ownby. At full speed, pumps the brakes. Trying to get by Morris, who's back defending. Ball across. Finds Del Piccolo. Didn't get to Gonzalez. And this lashed high and well wide. Perez, huh? Sometimes you just got a feeling.
Brian Ownby is just so good when he's vertical, when he's direct, and more importantly, when he's decisive. Just requires so much attention. And you talk about the composure and the quality in the final third as everyone's crashing towards that near post. Jorge Gonzalez does very well. Well, Del Piccolo had that secondary run. It's 2-0, but as this ball falls kindly to Manny Perez, watch your body position. Leaning back, that's why you see go up and over the crossbar. He hits it very clean, to be fair.
Whistle goes against Matthews. Sharpie is down. Sharpie peels himself up off the ground. Everyone's going to get a quick moment to grab some water. Header down from Lewis. Rodriguez went down. He has hardly had a front-facing touch all game. Del Piccolo held on to it. Slaloms through. Ownby. Ownby. That's met by Carroll. Sure-footed as ever. Corner Louisville City.
And it's interesting, Mike, because Brian Ownby has been so active on this near side. But you want Cameron Lancaster to be the one making those runs, hoping to get on the end of it. It's been Jorge Gonzalez. The trailing run from an outside in. Lancaster, you want him to stay high. You want him to occupy as a number 9. You make your money inside that 18-yard box. So what does this service look like into him?
Five corner for Louisville City. Mogel. Ball ricochets all the way through. Ownby wants Ownby! Brian Ownby's 9th playoff goal! Always the man for the big occasion! 2-0 ahead!
Talked about how important set pieces were going to be in this playoff match. Managing moments as the ball pops out, ice in his veins. Gets a second bite at the apple, Brian Ownby here. The composure, the hips, and the body control to get himself squared. You put it on target, you give yourself a chance. Takes a wicked deflection there from Carroll, but Brian Ownby will not care. Shots for handball, there's nothing there from Jorge Gonzalez. Hard and low. Finds the back of the net. Brian Ownby gets his well-deserved goal here in the 43rd minute.
That goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery. I think I can say it. Where has this Louisville City team been for the last month? Several months? Smoke billows out from Scouse's house behind the Steinwasser guarded goal. Smoke from both sides. Danger. Gasso.
I do think if you're Trevor James, you're going to be extremely frustrated as well, because the goals that you concede, silly defensive errors that you've been so good throughout the regular season, winning your individual battles. Box defending has been the name of the game for Detroit City. Not once, but twice. You concede very soft goals that you should feel far better in your defensive structure in.
Zemla picks it up at halftime. A look at both goals from the Charleston-Birmingham game. Look at San Antonio and Sacramento last night. As Olmby adds a 43rd minute goal after Lancaster scored from the spot in the 15th. Mogel going into Gasso. Stoppage time is presented by Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. 4 added minutes. Down goes Maxi Rodriguez. All layered across. Zemla gave up. Reese Williams certainly didn't. Oh, that's a clever little tag. The far touchline and a free kick won by Detroit. There's something to be said for the fact that Detroit playing in Pittsburgh, and to be fair, Keyworth, smaller fields dimension-wise, you get a lot of looks at a lot of different set pieces, but Detroit knows they have to be great in that facet all the time.
So much ground to cover as well here at Lynn Family Stadium. The field's a lot bigger, so there's a lot more spaces in between lines. But set pieces, like you said, Mike, it's not a matter of X and O's. It's not game plans. It's just pure willingness to win your individual battle. And as Maxi Rodriguez stands over this, he's aiming for right between that 6-yard box and penalty mark to put a lot of pressure on Zemla.
Rodriguez, they're looking for that ball back across. That sets up for Gasso. It nearly happened again. Morris crossing. Ball away. Rodriguez came forward. Dicing, Matthews. Lancaster stopped by Maxi Rodriguez. Matthews.
Does seem like Manny Perez gets shaken up. I think he goes to block the shot, doesn't have his ankle locked, and just catches him wrong. But he's a player that if you're Trevor James, you need to get going, plain and simple. 48th minute, we haven't said his name nearly as enough as Detroit City fans would like. Ability to pick apart opposing back lines and unlock the opposition. Max Rodriguez needs to get more involved, and I do think that's going to be a message for Trevor James, telling your star boy to go out and just search the game and make his impact felt.
Rodriguez in the first half, 22 touches. Has only completed 11 of his 15 passes. A lot of those touches are not where you want Maxi Rodriguez to be if he's going to set the attacking game. Bryant. The inside run, Morris. Overcooked.
I do think that's why you lose Job. It makes things very interesting for Detroit City because Job does a lot of the dirty work next to Gasso defensively. So Max Rodriguez has the ability to go out as he sees fit in the attacking third. But now as he goes off the field, Max Rodriguez has more responsibility to be a two-way player, box to box. And Connor Rutz is going to be that quote-unquote number 10 underneath Matthews. You need to figure it out if you're Trevor James. It's going to be really important this halftime talk.
Lewis held off Lancaster. Ownby, clever ball. Gonzalez, Ownby, Mogel. That should take us to halftime. And it does. If you were a bettor and you had to pick 2 goal scorers for Louisville City, Cameron Lancaster's 8th career playoff goal from the spot, and Brian Ownby's 9th career playoff goal in the 43rd minute. 2-0.
Do you think it all comes down to who's going to be more clinical in critical moments, especially in both 18-yard boxes? And the victor in the first half was Lou City, Cameron Lancaster, Brian Ownby. And if you're Danny Cruz, those 2 players, you get them confident, they're going to be massive game changers. But for Detroit City, you just need to get on the ball a bit more, Mike. It's going to be really interesting this next 45.
Well, Detroit City scratched and clawed their way in on the last day of the regular season. The stunning upset a week ago. Now their backs against the wall. Lancaster and Ownby, the goals for Louisville City. And that home playoff mojo appears fully intact. Halftime presented by Breeze Airways is coming up next.
Commonwealth Credit Union's holiday celebration is back. This holiday season, you can earn not 1, not 2, but 3 points on every dollar you spend when you use My Card to fill up your sleigh. Plus, use your credit or debit card with your mobile wallet for your chance to win $500 in our holiday celebration giveaway. There's a new winner every week. Non-purchase entries are available and have an equal chance of winning. But hurry, this celebration ends December 31st. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Watch WDRB Mornings and don't miss out on top stories.
We will make sure you are informed and in the know.
So wake up with WDRB for local news, weather, and traffic all morning long.
Don't get stuck in traffic.
I'll show you traffic alerts and the quickest commute routes to make sure you get to work on time.
And don't get caught in the rain because you weren't prepared.
I'll give you the weekly forecast and make sure you're ready for any severe weather threats all morning from 5 to 10.
Monday morning and you look at the radar.
No matter your age,
outbreak a severe storm.
Feeling prepared feels good.
The rain is extreme in some places.
Guidance from those you trust gives you confidence in every situation to make the right decision.
Put your phone to WDRB.com and click on the live stream. If you have kids, help them understand and maybe
staying safe and being prepared. All starts with WDRB.
Please take tornado safety precautions.
All-wheel drive season is coming. Changes, weather, road conditions. What doesn't change? Toyota's commitment to giving you the freedom to explore with more all-wheel drive choices, like the adventurous RAV4, America's best-selling SUV. Now get a new RAV4 with low 3.99 APR financing or 4.99 on an electrified RAV4 hybrid, plus 2 years no-cost maintenance. Change is coming. Stay ahead with RAV4. Toyota. Let's go places.
Halftime is presented to you by Breeze Airways. Nice, new, and non-stop. That's the Breeze way. Detroit City trailing for the 10th time this season at halftime. 9 losses in the previous occasions. They trail Louisville 2-0 in the Eastern Conference semifinal. With Ricky, Mike, you can really boil this game down in theory to destiny versus dynasty. Louisville and Detroit within this league. Louisville City, 8 straight conference finals, trying to make it a 9th. It's unparalleled in American professional soccer. They've won 2 titles. They've gone to 2 additional title games, including last year. Detroit, back-to-back playoff appearances in their first 2 years in the league. They got their first playoff win, that enormous upset over Pittsburgh last week. And you know, Ricky, so much of that destiny is baked into Trevor James and what he's implemented since taking over from Ben Pierman in 2020.
And regardless of NISA, USL, MLS, whatever level that you are overseas, they know how to win, right? 6 trophies won for Trevor James. So the message to the boys is, how do you manage moments when, how do you grind out results? Maybe that's not your best game of football. We have to find a way to win. And Trevor James, he's man managing. He knows the best, how to get the best out of his players. And it's a world of good for Detroit City to have this man leading the troops.
He'll continue as the sporting director, and the search is on for the man who'll try and fill those big shoes. All the while, you know, Danny Cruz, we asked him what the biggest misconception about this Louisville team is, and he goes, look, it's on us that we've lost the games we've lost, but we're better than people think we are.
And they showed it in the first half, right? 2 goals and really taking the win out of this Detroit City starting 11. But you talk about Danny Cruz, you talk about the ability to relate to his player. You see the youngest coach to lead us out to a USL Championship final, only 32 years of age, and I do think that gets lost in translation talking to Danny Cruz because he's had so much success. But if you ask any team, any player in USL Championship, you want to play for Danny Cruz.
Extended earlier this year through 2025, trying to add a 3rd star to the crest that adorns that shirt. What lies in store? Detroit, as always, travels. Big shock. Detroit against the Louisville City, Detroit against the world. 2 goals down at halftime. It's presented by Breeze Airways. A look around the league's playoff bracket when we return after these messages and a word from your local station.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
The battle starts today.
Comes in, diving header! Arturo Rodriguez!
Milanolovski! He's different! He really is!
Now, it's time to fight to the final whistle.
And beyond.
So the bull had eyes!
Opportunity! Yes! It's time to put it all on the line.
It's time to shine.
All-wheel drive season is coming. Changes, weather, road conditions. What doesn't change? Toyota's capability to keep pushing on with trucks built to outlast and outlive any adventure, like the legendary 4Runner with over 40 years of off-road experience, or the best-selling Tacoma with the best resale value in its class. Now get any new Tacoma with low 3.99 APR financing, plus 2 years no-cost maintenance. Change is coming. Stay ahead with Tacoma. Toyota. Let's go places.
Halftime is presented to you by Breeze Airways. Nice, new, and nonstop. That's the Breeze way. That's kind of how this night has been. A lot of ponchos. Aww. Aww. With Ricky, Mike, let's get you caught up on what's going on. No one's going to be awing about these highlights. We've got Charleston, Birmingham going on right now, and we have a game that occurred yesterday between San Antonio and Sacramento. So we'll try and get you caught up on what we've seen to this point. How about Charleston and Birmingham? 17th minute, Emilio Icaza.
And he's just so good. He plays right in the center of the park for Ben Pierman, just rises up. No one man marks him. Terrific snap header. It really starts off this Charleston battery side, but you knew Birmingham losing. Game changers all over the field as Prosper Kasim at that back post. Looks at textbook header, low and hard. Back across where it came from, always gives you an opportunity.
So that makes it 1-1 going into halftime, and within the last couple minutes, a goal scored by 3-seed Charleston over 7-seed Birmingham. Initially, the goal was given to Nick Marcanic. It's been changed and given to Derek Dodson, who apparently got the last touch in front of goal.
Played striker in college, who always hasn't knows where to be. Yes, it takes a wicked deflection right off the left knee. The Charleston battery, they won't care as long as they get on the win and advance into the next round.
Sacramento, a 3-1 win over San Antonio. How surprised are you, if at all?
Not at all. They were just so good. Mark Briggs at the second half for Sacramento Republic, understanding when to go, how to play this game against San Antonio. Big win at home for Sacramento Republic.
And Orange County and Phoenix, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific on ESPN+. That's the good stuff.
What do you have there?
Remember that 2018 conference final? Here's a look at the USL Championship playoffs presented by Hisense. All the upsets over here, it could very well be chalk outside of the Phoenix upset in the West.
I think that game is going to be so interesting. Like Phoenix rising, long Garrett pushing all the right buttons, but Warren Carlson and Orange County, how good have they been on the back end of the season?
We take a look at the highlights from this game and our stats as well when we return to Louisville. Woo! Sorry. Louisville 2, Detroit 0. Halftime presented by Breeze Airways. Nice, new, and nonstop. That's the Breeze way. Highlights and the second half coming up next.
Did you know taking care of your teeth and gums helps control blood sugar levels? A healthy smile means a healthier you. We can help you get there. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com. Did you know taking care of your teeth and gums helps lower your risk of heart attack? A healthy smile means a healthier you. We can help you get there. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
At Kroger, the proven quality of Kroger brand products will make you fresh for everyone.
All-wheel drive season is coming. Changes, weather, road conditions. What doesn't change? Toyota's capability to keep pushing on with a family of trucks built to outlast and outlive any adventure. Like the powerful new Tundra, the most capable Tundra ever, with towing up to 12,000 pounds and the best resale value in its class. Plus, you get 2 years no-cost maintenance. Change is coming. Stay ahead with Tundra. Toyota. Let's go places.
Halftime is presented to you by Breeze Airways. Nice, new, and nonstop. That's the Breeze way. With Ricky, Mike, Louisville 2 goals ahead at the half. How about we show you how it happened here in Kentucky? Louisville earns a penalty in the 13th minute that's taken in the 15th minute. We start there.
We just watched the left leg of Michael Bryant. Brian Omi does so well to drag his left foot and create the contact, and he makes the most of it. He goes down, he puts a lot of pressure on our center referee, Cameron Lancaster, cool as you would like, as he sends Steinwasser the wrong way. It's always going to be about that second goal. We talked about it in the open, Mike, how important set pieces were going to come. You don't deal with it initially well enough for Detroit City, and Brian Omi, he was just so good. He gets his reward, and he doubles his lead for Lou City.
Well, Detroit fans will certainly see controversy in both goals. The penalty and the lack of a handball, although you can certainly see the foot catch Ombi, and you can certainly see the arms tucked in from Gonzalez. Pave Masters presents the halftime statistics. And really, if you're Detroit, it's the fact that you've gotten nothing in the other end that's more concerning.
And I'll even argue 44% of the possession has been in your defensive half, right? And that's something that Trevor James said a key for their side. Get higher up the field, gain real estate, and just get on the ball. And we haven't seen that for Detroit City. You're looking at Ben Morris, you're looking at Matthews to relieve some of that pressure and be a focal point to play off of. I do think the first 5 to 10 minutes for Detroit City needs to be very good in terms of getting on possession and getting in a rhythm, because that man, he's going to be begging to get his brace on the night.
Lancaster now 8 career playoff goals and goals in 3 games running for Louisville City at just the right time. Well, Dominic Gasso had that incredible moment a week ago in this Detroit City side that all they've really ever done is win. Pull a genuine miracle away to Louisville in the Eastern Conference semifinal. On to the second half we go. Louisville all time 24-4-3 in 31 home knockout games. 6-1 since they opened Lynn Family Stadium. Louisville City, the 5 seed, coming off one of the more disappointing regular season campaigns they've had. Detroit in on the last day over Miami for the 8th spot. They've won 5 road games in totality this year, but it's the teams they beat. Hartford and Loudoun fine, but going to El Paso, Birmingham, and Pittsburgh, that's proof of what they bring to the table tonight.
I'm going to tell you, when you talk about coming into a hostile environment on the road in this USL Championship playoffs defensively, that needs to be the first trademark for any sort of club. And that's something that Detroit City embodies. Hard in the challenge, disciplined, organized, but it's been uncharacteristic like in that first half. You see that so many times it's been lack of rotation, players crossing over, lack of communication. It has to be frustrating for Trevor James.
Sashayed over the line by Ownby. Detroit held scoreless in the first half for the 21st time this year. Only Phoenix and Indy 11 been held on 0 through halftime more often.
Just look at the center of your screen. Connor Rutz has so much real estate. So how do you find him in that pocket of space if you're Detroit City? And it's been the same thing. All your possession in that first half has been 25 yards from your own defending 18-yard box. You need to get more advanced higher up the field and put more pressure on the back line for Lou City.
Tosh knocks it away. Del Piccolo slid in, concedes the foul on Gasso. Me, he says. Detroit City in the first half, expected goals of 0.04. Looking to create something off a free kick. Rodriguez lined that right off of Lancaster. Rodriguez, a wayward slide. Amu Mensah into the frame.
It's been that kind of night for Maxi Rodriguez. You expect quality with the technical ability that he has.
Charleston and Birmingham now in the 80th minute. If you stepped away at halftime, who could blame you? Williams goes down harshly, and they've given the foul against Detroit. Charleston leads that game 2-1. They would host either Louisville or Detroit as the 3 seed, the highest remaining seed remaining after the first week. Bryant. Away from Williams. Matthews will chase. No subs at halftime. The only sub made to this point, Job came off due to injury in the 36th minute for Matthews. Adams, that ricocheted. Williams going to continue to chase. Picks his head up. Ball bouncing. Cleared off the apron. Matthews was inches away, if not for the intervention by Tosh. Ball across is met by Perez. That's the best chance for Detroit all night.
You need to be a bit cleaner if you're Adams. A bit too casual, and Reese Williams just gives you that little bit of extra effort to put you on your heels. Does very well to cut to the byline. Emergency defending there from Sean Tosh, just to cut out that pass, because there's a lot of numbers for Detroit City. A good start to the second half for the visitors here.
Bryant. Morris got beneath it. Williams, Amu-Mensah, lost by Rodriguez. Gasso. Carroll. Williams. Perez got a piece, just enough. Gonzalez off of Bryant.
Just seems to be a bit more confident since coming out of the locker room. I don't know what was said for Trevor James, but something that executed once these players have walked across that white line. Great touch from Reese Williams, just a quality ball in. Manny Perez needs to make this challenge. It stays tucked in, compact with his back four, because you have Lewis on this back post just begging for this thing.
Cameron Lancaster has gone down for Louisville. Notably, some interesting choices for the Louisville bench tonight. Brought in Elijah Winder, who was unavailable last game. Amadou Diaz still not deemed ready for a game that could go 120. That was something Danny Cruz was contemplating heavily during the week. So you've got Wilson Harris on your bench, but they also chose to leave Martin Powells out of the 18. So you've only got the one striker off the bench. And then all of a sudden you're likely stuck leaving Ownby in the game, because he would, in theory, be your backup in that spot. And that should give you a pretty clear idea that Harris's time is soon to come. Lancaster from the spot in the 15th minute. You could tell Danny Cruz there saying maybe another 5 minutes. So Lancaster is going to come back into the game. Almost became a little too acquainted with the flag from the AR too. Rodriguez knocks it back to Steinwasser. Amu-Mensah kept it in. Ball deflected back by Adams. Semla. You know, you just come off injured and all of a sudden, you know, you're worried about 11 players. You're not usually worried about this. I think he's fine. He'll live. It's the danger man. Piccolo. Crushed toward Matthews, header away. A little bit of territory perhaps for Detroit. Wow, Gibson. Only to see possession. Rodriguez. Amu-Mensah making that elongated run. That's a lot of black shirts. Tightly wound. Morris turned over to Omby. Rolled on to Mogel. Gonzalez. Omby. Omby. Ball away by Carroll. Omby commits the foul on Lewis, who was injured back in April when these teams met. And Omby with a push into Bryant. Now Steinwasser having words. The kinds of things, those words that you don't expect from your accountant.
And it's a good opportunity here for Lou City to turn their defensive efforts into attacking opportunities. But Brian Omby and Cameron Lancaster, they just make the same run. They both peel out to this right-hand side. If you're Cameron Lancaster, you have to understand, if you peel out left, that you give that avenue for Brian Omby to provide the width on the right side of the field. It gets congested. It gives time and space for Detroit City to collapse. You just pick the pocket of Brian Omby.
Bryant. Rodriguez soaring toward Perez. Probably more acrobatic than it needed to be. And swept out by Rodriguez.
Well, those are the balls that if you're Michael Bryant, you have to find Matthews' feet, because he can just pop it back. Then it's the outside back on this near side, Amu Mensah, who provides the width and provides an overload, because Reese Williams stays connected, he stays centrally. So it puts a lot of pressure on Manny Perez to make a decision in his positioning. Do he stay compact with Sean Tosha to go out and face Amu Mensah? Good decision there for Manny Perez to deny Detroit City a transition moment.
Gonzalez. Casso won it. Amu Mensah. Tosh. Williams. Adams. Omby has a step. Omby rounds the corner. Omby across, chested in. Cameron Lancaster has his second tonight. The conference final draws closer for Cam in Louisville City. And what a two-man show for Omby and Lancaster tonight.
One of the most underrated things for Kyle Adams is his ability to play out of the back with his left foot. You see the high line for Detroit City. Where's the real estate? On the back end of it. You play direct and you let Brian Omby cook. You let him produce that little bit of individual brilliance. Notice a little peek up to see Cameron Lancaster, and then it's just about the movement from the striker. He has to take some wicked deflection. Gets away from Zach Carroll, just plays off the shoulder. Just needs to get any sort of touch to push it over that white line. And Cameron Lancaster, he gets his brace. Brilliant understanding from Lou City. 3-0 here at home.
For the 5th time this season, make it the 6th time this year. 5 in the regular season, now 3+ goals. Lancaster picking Lewis's pocket. Gonzalez steps through. Gonzalez! A Louisvillian dagger at the hour mark. The onslaught that Louisville's been waiting for. And the first 4 spot for Louisville City all season.
Give credit to Cameron Lancaster, just so opportunistic, but it's very uncharacteristic here from Lewis. It's the understanding, the composure to let this play develop. Jorge Gonzalez, he gets a little bit fortunate, but this is just pure magic. The composure to collect himself. Face up to goalkeeper. He sends both center backs packing, up and over. Steinwasser, don't mind if I do, off to the corner to celebrate. Top class from Jorge Gonzalez.
That goal is presented by the Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. The Kentucky Lottery. 2 goals and an assist. Vintage Cameron Lancaster tonight. A standing ovation. Wilson Harrison, the sub, brought to you by Fortna. Niall McCabe will take the captain's armband. Replaces Paolo Del Piccolo in midfield. And for those two, the job is done, and the job is done well. 4-0 Louisville City. This would be their biggest margin of victory in the postseason since they destroyed Bethlehem Steel in 2019, 4-0. Williams. Maxi Rodriguez pumps that across. Ball efforted at goal. Appeal for a handball. It's merely a corner over Rutt's objection. Louisville have attempted 4 shots on target tonight. They are all goals. And the 2 goals a minute 32 apart. Ball across toward Amu Mensah. Got tossed by Adams. Steinwasser. Bouncing ball, Rutz gave chase, Perez sends it away. Picked up by Matthews. Knocked down by Gasso. All knotted down. Rutz and Adams continuing to battle with one another. I think we scripted mentally a lot of ways this could go. 4-0 at 64 minutes really didn't cross the lexicon, did it?
I do think if you're Danny Cruz, this is the game that you've been waiting for all season. Right? You mentioned it on our phone call with him, said, yes, we haven't scored the same amount of goals as we did last year, and it's the same team, right? But he's not putting the ball in the back of the net. It's not being clinical. It's not having that execution in that final third. Eastern Conference semifinal against a team, a juggernaut that's so good defensively, that goes into Pitt in round 1, gets a clean sheet. You knew it was always going to be a difficult task here. The quality, the game changers on that front line for Lou City, they made a massive difference. Danny Cruz, you have to be very pleased.
Well, they only have 1 clean sheet in the last 13 games. And a big reason why is the offense so scuffled that they mentally started to focus there rather than the defense. Well, tonight they might have it all. Charleston and Birmingham being played in South Carolina tonight. That game has just concluded. The Charleston Battery defeat Birmingham Legion 2-1, and they will host the Eastern Conference Final next weekend. And Ben Pierman and Lee Cohen have orchestrated some kind of turnaround. Their first conference final since 2013. And the winner from Derek Dodson, who was just named to to the Players Association Best 11. You know, I think Charleston would be the first to say they're ahead of schedule. They actually took Fidel Barajas off at halftime because he only managed 4 passes in the first half, and that's not what you're paying Fidel Barajas for, but it's a pretty good illustration of how he was not involved in that game.
It's also a good illustration of just how good Ben Pierman has been as just creating a culture in that locker room, right? Your star boy, the youngster that's been so good in this campaign, doesn't have his impact felt. Who's going to step up? Derek Dotson, who starts out at the right back. Icasa gets involved. They're a juggernaut, the Charleston Battery side, and what a turnaround for that club.
Rodriguez hung that up. Rotz, header on! Zemla, called upon for the first time, wipes the Carroll header over the bar.
Good ball in for Maxi Rodriguez. Set pieces, since you're not creating a lot through the run and play. Brilliant way to claw yourself back into this game as you get a second bite at the apple. The center back, big time save from Zemla to deny Carroll.
Ball across, Zemla got a touch. Still it's Bryant. Whips this back. Amu Mensah. That's a hair high, and Harris got it out. Levied off, that's brilliant. It's Matthews cutting over, touched into the path of McCabe. Ownby. Goal and an assist tonight. He also won the penalty in the 15th minute that lit this candle. And Danny Cruz, the age of 33, I have to think he's heard it all. He's felt that pressure. I spoke to him ahead of the Memphis game last week. And he said, you can hear it in the tone of my voice. I'm excited because I know we have the quality to do it. And now they're on the verge of a 9th straight conference final. And the bracket lined up, in theory, on its face perfectly for them. Detroit had to expend so much in Pittsburgh as well. So not just the 8 seed, but one that really had to give everything to get out of the first round to begin with. And really, we're in the quote-unquote playoff mode for a month.
And you asked Danny Cruz, what was the difference between going on the road and now playing at home? And he was quite frank and very open with his answer. He said, look, depending on where we go in this Eastern Conference, I change my style of play. At Memphis, obviously, it's on a baseball field. We don't want to play out of the back because the field is maybe uneven. But now we understand the dimensions. We understand the surface is going to be pristine, so we can play out of the back. We can play our style of play. And from back to front, New City has not put a foot wrong here.
4 substitutes coming. Detroit made 1 in the first half. So Adrian Billhart, who came in from South Georgia Tormenta, having won the League One title. There should be applause here for the local kid. Richard Ballard, who was part of the title-winning team, that penalty to walk off against Red Bull 2 back in 2018. All these subs are brought to you by Fortnite. Dario Suarez, who came in mid-season from Tulsa. Gasso's night is done. After that epic goal against the Riverhounds. It's hard to join the lore of Detroit City, but that one surely did. Mogel nearly broke through. Morris comes off. His season ends 33 appearances and 7 goals. Rutz. Ombi tried to go through and grab that. Instead, it's Ballard. Ballard got to the end line, and Ombi chopped into his former teammate. Concedes the corner.
And once again, you play into Matthews, who's that focal point. You have runners run off of him, whether it is Ballard or it is Suarez underneath. Richard Ballard, very good 1v1, a slippery player.
Corner, Amumensa went up for it. Adams knocked him down. Gonzalez takes a seat because he knows his night's done. Oscar Jimenez will come off the bench for Louisville. Jimenez, 21st playoff appearance, his 22nd for Louisville City. Sub brought to you by Fortnite. Here's the goal, and what a finish it is from Gonzalez.
Just magic. The cheekiness, the audacity to compose himself in that 18-yard box, but also how decisive, knows exactly what he wants to do when he faces up Steinwasser. He goes down, up and over. Top quality from Jorge Gonzalez.
Like Harris playing too much of the game there with Matthew Lewis. Well, it's going to be an off-season of change. Yes, the key man is still, in theory, Trevor James as he steps into the sporting director role. You imagine that his goal in searching for head coaches to find someone who mirrors a lot of the way he views the game. But it doesn't mean that Detroit is going to have the same manager, the same exact view on certain players. So there's, I'd imagine, still a little bit of uneasiness as this skids across the finish line. Most everyone would agree this was not the season Detroit thought that they'd have. Did a lot of things defensively well, and yet just getting into the playoffs, getting their first playoff win, they want more. Harris, Ombi finagles it free. Perez. Harris. Rolling dangerously for McCabe.
When you talk about this Detroit City side, obviously defensively, like you mentioned, they were always going to be stout. They're always going to be hard to break down, but it's very difficult to grind out results here in USL Championship when you have your leading goal scorer with only 7 goals on the season, which is Ben Morris. Take nothing away from Ben Morris, fantastic player, but you needed someone else to provide. The second player next to him was Suarez with 4. He comes in mid-season, but that was always going to be a question mark for this Detroit City side, because you look at the teams in USL Championship that have this success, they always have that #1 guy that's in double digits, 12, 13, 14, 15 goals around that mark. So who's going to be the player that they bring in to be that game changer high up the field?
And in theory, Louisville doesn't quite have that this year, but they have 2 guys who have.
Exactly. That had the experience. They know how to grind that result. And you look at Wilson Harris, 9 goals. Cameron Lancaster, 7 goals, obviously, in the regular season. So it's going to be big offseason for Trevor James and whoever he appoints as head coach, and who they bring in, and also who they let walk out of the door.
Fans, head to Twitter, vote on tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Men of the Match. Pull up in the next 10 minutes. Go to twitter.com/BlueCityFC. Ombi got tugged.
Oh, good to see, Ben.
This is the playoff Ombi that they were talking about. And to be fair, we sat there in the first half and saw what very easily should have been a goal for Ombi and wondered what this would look like. but he won the penalty, he scores, and he assists the third.
Just seems so comfortable, right? Picking up those second balls, running at this back line for Detroit City. Can hurt you in so many different ways.
Never noticed they wrote a note on the ball. Please return the ball to the field. Forward-thinking stuff. And to be fair to Detroit, Trevor James said everyone wrote us off going into Pittsburgh. Players' Shield champion this year, most points in the regular season. He said the morale never dropped. They never ceased to believe. And it was with a couple months, maybe a month or so remaining, that it became very clear how they would get into the playoffs, and they committed to it. You have to imagine it's been a very draining month at that. Suarez. Touching through. That's going to fall inside the penalty area. Did not get over the line. Or just kept on going.
It's a good ball from Maxey.
Away from Rutz. That's a goal kick.
His first touch lets him down there. Connor Rutz sends him towards that corner flag. It was a better first touch. It's a really good opportunity for Detroit City to put pressure on Semlop. He doesn't have a lot to do. You ask Adams, you look at Tosh, everything has been in front of them. The two center backs, that's an easy day at the office. Going back to our conversation about who's going to be the next head coach for Trevor James. Yes, you talked about game style, you talked about the vision, but also someone that has the ability to create a culture like this man has done. You talk about the morale, the belief, to fight togetherness. And I think that's going to be a big blueprint for Detroit City in 2024.
Well, Jermaine Jones is off the board. He's announced that he'll be the new head coach at Central Valley Fuego in League One. There's a certain pressure to being the coach at Detroit. Well, they say the president ages twice as fast. I imagine there's, well, the hair was always gray for Trevor since he got here. That's unchanged. Harris. Harris was a little late recognizing Perez. Finds Sharpie. To be fair, the man who really helped initiate that culture, Ben Pierman, doing the exact same thing in Charleston now. Perez. Subs coming. And Louisville, we'll tell you, don't miss any of the action at Lynn Family Stadium in 2024. Become a season ticket member for both Lou City and Racing Louisville FC. Along with exclusive membership benefits, save 10% off your season ticket price when you bundle. Tickets are available loucity.com/tickets. Neil Fisher comes on. That's the 5th and final change for Detroit. By the way, all the best to Kim Bjorkegren, the Racing Louisville head coach. Mutually parted ways the NWSL side yesterday. Had them on the cusp of the playoffs this year as well. Rutz came off. Sub brought to you by Fortna. Bill Hard. Louisville back to their bench. And this deserved walk-off for Brian Ownby. What a performance tonight That's the stuff that could lead to a third star. Replaced by Elijah Winder, the Academy product sub, brought to you by Fortna. There's the two Academy products on the field together. Winder entering alongside Mogel, and Tellefson, who was the lone change in the lineup, replaces Manny Perez, sub brought to you by Fortna. And Louisville has expended all 5 subs now as well. Winder denied.
That's going to change the way that this back line for Danny Cruz looks. Oscar Jimenez is going to play at the left back position. Sharpie's going to switch over to his right back position, and you have Tellefson higher up the field next to Mogel, Gibson, and Elijah Winder.
Fisher off the turn. Fisher, a former MLS Cup winner. Well, I suppose once you win it, you're always an MLS Cup winner, as with Seattle. You like best of 3 playoff series?
No.
Okay. You see what happened in one of the first series to kick off? New England went down 3-0. At that point, right? Call it a day.
Exactly, 100%.
Go to game 2. Ball hammered across. That's high of everybody. That's going to be a throw deep, deep in the Louisville end. Goes Bill Hart. Winder. What a story. Elijah Winder, of course, watching his brother Josh go over to Europe earlier this year on a 7-figure transfer. Comeback player of the year last season after he broke his leg in an academy game in January of 2021. There have been some moments this year where he's been the best midfielder on the pitch for Louisville. Still really a young guy, only 20.
The talent is never in question for Winder. He can find some really nice spots in an advanced position. That final third has a very good feel of where to float between lines. And I do think the next progression for him is the productivity. More goals, more assists. 3 goals and 1 assist on the season. You can get around 7 goals, 3, 4, 5 assists. You're going to be sitting nice and pretty for Danny Cruz, because he can be a massive part of what you do on the attacking third, because he has all the physical attributes. He's quick, he's off the line, courageousness. He knows where to be, has a nose to score goals and get himself in really good positions. But now, how do you get more goals and more assists for Elijah Winder?
You know, it was interesting. The 4-3-3, they sort of go, okay, is he an 8 or a 10? Because the roles are so much more defined. They went to that 3-4-3 for a while, and he had a very defined role in that system, and that's where he really hit his stride this year. Ultimately, they've gone to the 4-back once more, the tail end of the season, apparently to great effect. Ball gets out. Louisville is bound for Charleston next weekend for a 9th consecutive conference final. Amu Mensah You know, I know it's 4-0 right now, Ricky. I imagine everyone on this Louisville team wants nothing more than to walk out of here with a clean sheet. The 4 or 3 goal margin is, to an extent, academic and irrelevant. But a clean sheet, when you've only had 1 in 13, that's a statement.
100%. I do think going into Charleston, as Lou City is going to do, defensively, you have to be so good because they have so many weapons that Ben Pyramid has at his disposal. 2-1 win against Birmingham tonight. So it starts on the back line. How compact can this Lou City side have to deal with this very dangerous set piece? Because moments ago, Maxi Rodriguez put in a peach of a ball into that back post.
Rodriguez hangs this up, punched away by Zemla. The offside flag had gone up. This shouldn't be all that big a surprise. Tonight's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match is Brian Ownby. Won the penalty, an assist, and a goal.
Just sets it up so kindly for Cameron Lancaster. He does the hard part, and then he gets his goal. But watch the hips, how quickly he's coerced himself to face towards that goal, and makes no mistake about the finish. Low and hard, clean contact, but he was just so good off the ball, on the ball. Big part of this 4-0 scoreline that we have for Lou City.
Ownby saying, let's go, girls, on to Charleston. Winder, a leading touch, being forced away. Oh, wow, Winder. Amu Mensah dispossesses him at the last moment. Foul from Rodriguez. Louisville, of course, you play everyone in the conference twice. Played Charleston twice this year. And a couple of draws between the teams. 0-0 back on April the 22nd in Charleston. 1-1 here in Louisville on August the 9th. Lancaster in the 67th, and wouldn't you know it, Emilio Icaza in the 80th. He scored earlier tonight, the opening goal against Birmingham, who bow out after an opening round win over the, I mean, a normal year, that's the upset of the year. Tampa Bay ousted.
It's been a frustrating evening for Detroit City in that back line. Just the ability to break this initial pressure of Lou City. Too many sloppy turnovers. Haven't had any sort of rhythm from minute 1 to minute 89. We talked about the center of the park being the key for Detroit City. Gasso, Rodriguez, Joe goes out early for an injury. But since that, it's been really difficult to find any sort of possession for the visiting side here.
Tellefson glides and now drives. Gibson, Miguel, Gibson, and it might be time to keep your ankles as far away from flailing feet as possible. Imagine there won't be any stoppage here, Ricky. Tough way for Detroit to go out.
It's going to be a frustrating one for Trevor James, but there's nothing to hang your hat on. Just so good, like you said, going into Pittsburgh, best team in USL Championship in the regular season. How do you do that defensively, but haven't been up to the task here at Lynn Family Stadium? From minute 1, it's been a bit sloppy, uncharacteristic like mistakes, but something that Trevor James has built in Detroit City. It's been belief, it's been culture, and it's been hard work.
Full time arrives. For the 9th time in 9 seasons, Louisville City is en route to the Eastern Conference Final. And Danny Cruz's men put together their best performance of the year. And Detroit City, after statistically the greatest upset in league history, fall flat tonight in Trevor James' final game as manager. And this league record run of dominance continues for Louisville City.
I don't think people understand how difficult of a task that is. 9th straight appearance in the conference final. And it's interesting because we talk about earlier in the regular season for this Lou City side, so many questions asked of them, and not the same. Lou City don't have the same talent, don't have the ability to grind out results. But once the going gets tough, once postseason comes around the corner, the stars rise up, and Danny Cruz pushes all the right buttons to get the best out of his players.
And with a Lou City win, you can head to any participating Louisville area Wendy's tomorrow and get a free small Frosty, no purchase necessary. As Louisville amassed 4 goals on one end, and this will bring a smile to some folks who've paid a lot of money to not see a lot of clean sheets. That was a Mortensen Family Dental clean sheet. A clean game calls for a healthy, clean smile. 0 shots on target officially for Detroit tonight, and an expected goal of 0.04. Lancaster in the 15th. Omby in the 43rd. Lancaster and Gonzalez in a minute and a half time in the second half to put it away. Gorski, final score as Louisville win at 4-0. Back in a moment.
At Kroger, the proven quality of Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Well, they say the grass is greener there, but ours is dreamy blue. And there's no place I would rather be than Kentucky with you.
This is the all-new Grand Highlander.
Toyota took the best-selling Highlander and made it bigger, more powerful, and more fuel efficient.
With your choice of 3 different powertrains, including the 362-horsepower Hybrid Max.
The interior design is so tech-focused, I'm in total control.
And you gotta love the 12.3-inch touchscreen.
The big news is right back here with over 20 cubic feet of cargo space.
Behind a full-size third row.
Step up to something grand.
Toyota, let's go places.
This postgame is presented to you by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. He had a goal, an assist, and created a third. Kind of. Louisville City 4, Detroit 0. And smiles all around for this Lou City side, who put together their most comprehensive performance yet. With Ricky, Mike, let's take a look at the full-time highlights. And Louisville City opened the scoring in a penalty that's going to stick in many Detroit fans' craw all offseason.
But once again, it's a lack of rotation in the back line. You see the disbelief, but watch the left leg of Michael Bryant. But Brian Norman does so well to trail his leg, to create the contact. He goes down, and 3 goals in 3 games from Cayman. Lancaster makes no mistake about the pen.
43rd minute, Louisville would find a second. Does it catch the arm of Perez?
I think there's nothing in that for me, Mike. As the ball pops out, close to his body, Brian Omby, watch the hips, how quickly he squares himself to face towards the goal. Low and hard gives you an opportunity, but this was the goal of the game for me. Cal Adams understands the real Satan behind Brian Omby. 1v1 from Michael Bryant. He creates a little bit of his space. He has the wicked deflection, and it's all about the movement from Cayman Lancaster. The play off of the shoulder of his individual marker, just needs to get it over the white line.
He's got the FIFA dead fish celebration down to a T. 4 goals in 3 games, 3 now in the playoffs. And a minute and a half later, Lancaster starts it, and Gonzalez ends it with a real beauty.
But it's been very uncharacteristic, just sloppy from Lewis, and then this is just individual brilliance. The magic to send not 1, not 2, but 3 Detroit City players to their backside. He understands to compose himself, decisive, cheekiness, all of the above, up to the corner to celebrate. 4-0, Lou City.
The full-time stats are presented by Pave Masters, so Detroit does in fact get the 1 shot on goal that was tipped over by Zemla. And Louisville Detroit can look in the mirror and recognize mistakes made tonight, but ultimately Louisville was excellent.
Louisville, I think, was the better team. No problem, no question whatsoever from minute 1 to minute 90. But Detroit City, you knew it was going to be all about your defensive compactness. You got spread apart, slow in rotation, slow in man marking. The Lou City managing moments, clinical in both 18-yard boxes. You get that clean sheet, which I think is going to be massive for the morale and Danny Cruz.
So what does the Eastern Conference bracket look like? One of these you predicted maybe at the start of the year. The other one I highly doubted. Charleston, the 3, Louisville, the 5 will match up in the Eastern Conference final next week. Ricky, how excited are you for that and why?
I think you look at the center of the park, right? You look at Charleston Battery, that duo of midfield, Casa and Allen, so good at understanding and know what roles are asked of them under Ben Pierman. But on the other side, we saw how good Lou City is, and they have different abilities to change and flip, whether they are against different game plans. Winning second balls, grinding out results is going to be really important, but I do think this game is going to be won and lost in that midfield battle.
So Charleston will host with a date and time to be released perhaps as early as later tonight. What a performance by Louisville City. Truly vintage stuff from a side that now goes to the conference final for a 9th consecutive year. The final score is brought to you by Gorski Law Office. For our entire team in the rain in Louisville, Ricky, this is Mike saying so long from Kentucky. Louisville 4, Detroit 0, and it's on to Charleston next weekend.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.